Hey, okay, so I decided that because I have been looking very pale, it would be good to explore some bronzer options. And then yesterday I answered the door and there was a package from Elia with her new bronzers in it. So let's look at those. So I started already without you by putting a little bit of her new serum foundation on. My experience with this foundation is I tried it for about 2 weeks during a time when I was going outside with some frequency in the sun. Normally I wear a layer of moisturizer and then I put sunscreen on top because I get a lot of sunspots and I usually re-up my sunscreen throughout the day. I don't usually wear foundation, just a little concealer, but I will like put more sunscreen on if I'm going back outside. You know, they say to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. So I do reapply every few hours. So anyway, using this on the regular and not reapplying, because when I reapplied throughout the day, I got a little cakey crusty, which is normal. So I decided not to do that. And then in turn, some of my sunspots were a little bit darkened. So although I really like this product, look how glowy and even my skin looks as a result. Personally, I'm not using this as my sunscreen because I get sunspots so easily and it did not keep them at bay. I know other people are not having that issue, but I just want to put that out there for all of you very fair skinned people who develop spots as a result of the sun. Put a sunscreen on under this one. But that being said, it does such a good job of making me really glowy and even toned. And I always use my sunspots, but particularly this one, as the kind of the litmus test to see just how heavy the foundation is. And it's a really nice, light and sheer foundation that just makes my skin look quite perfect. I look like I have a filter on, don't I? I didn't put it down here, but what I will do is bring some moisture down here so that probably use a balm because I don't want the hydrated look to stop right there. So just remember always, if you're showing off any other skin, to marry the two, color-wise and or texture. So back to bronzers. So I felt like it couldn't be a more perfect time for these to have arrived. So these are her two bronzers that have no shimmer in them. And I am partial to a no shimmer bronzer. I never have liked the look of shimmer in a bronzer, unless you're going out at night and you want that reflectiveness to be happening when you're on the dance floor. Otherwise, if it's natural daylight, it just looks like you have powder on your face with little chunks of shimmer. I've never been into that. However, that said, I really like these. So do you guys remember, or do you know the line Becca? I haven't played with Becca in years, but 10 years ago, when I first became a makeup artist, 15 years ago when I first became a makeup artist, I really loved that line. And she had really finely micronized shimmer, kind of similar to this, maybe a little bit more fine particles of shimmer, but these are pretty fine as well. And so for me, if I wanted to have a bronzy look, I'll use the matte and then I can tap on really strategically a little bit of that shimmer and it's perfect. However, I know so many people, I think pretty much everyone on Instagram loves a ton of shimmer. And when you put a filter on it, it doesn't show the particles. It just shows glowy, amazing skin. But then for me, it's all about how you look in real life. And when we walk outside together and I see you, I'm going to be like, you have sparkles all over everywhere. So that being said, let me show you how this is her lighter of the two bronzers and it's called Drawn In. You can use so many different brushes, shapes of brushes for bronzers. Usually bronzer brushes are big and fluffy, right? Have different top shapes. You can use a smaller, more dedicated brush if you're using a bronzer maybe as a contour, or you're using a bronzer on your eyes. For now, I'm going to use a big fat brush, load it up, and go to town. So you always want bronzer, typically, to sit on the parts of your face where the sun would hit the most readily. So usually it's forehead, like right along the hairline, right? Never avoiding the hairline. So you don't want to have like an obvious demarcation there. And you also always want to start off light. You can always go back and add more, but if you go in with a heavy stripe, I mean, I know that this is a very common look people do and might call it also a contour of the forehead. But if you have a large forehead, my forehead is definitely showing more these days. My hairline is receding just a teeny bit, I think. And so it's kind of nice to have a slightly darker shade right there. And you see it all the time on super contoured face videos, tutorials where they put a stripe of dark there, a stripe of dark here, or down the sides of the nose. You can use bronzer for that for sure, if it's the right tone for you. And the only way to know if it's the right tone for you is to play around with it. Okay, so then a bronzer typically will sit more on top of the cheeks as opposed to a contour, of course, which goes under the cheeks, which I don't need contour because I have such a narrow face to begin with. It will make me look too sunken. But if you're looking to accomplish a little bit more of an accentuated cheekbone look, you'd put a shade this color or much darker underneath. But now it's bronzer. So we want to put it where the sun would touch us the most. And for me, that's tops of cheekbones. And then you can swoop it a little bit onto your nose, a little on your chin as well. And then always you want some bronziness here, which is why I'm wearing this shirt. And you can also put more of a shimmer on your shoulders, which can be really nice, especially if it's, going out at night. Saying that right now seems ridiculous to talk about going out. For those who are watching this at some point in the future, right now is when we're all on lockdown because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Someday this will be over. Imagine that. I like this shade so much on me that I think I also want to put a little on my eyelids. So I'm going to take a slightly smaller brush. This one is from Ilia as well. And just kind of go haphazardly, like no real placement plan, all the way just over my eyelid. You can do this no matter what shape your eyelid is, no matter what shape your eyes are, however much, if you have hooded eyes, if you are blessed with a ton of eyelid real estate, as we say, just a haphazard kind of shading in can be nice. However, if your eyes are super hooded, anywhere you put dark makes things, the viewer regard that area as receding a bit. So you want to stay away from anything too dark if your eyes are really hooded and or deep set. Anything too dark, unless it's purposeful and you want that look. But if you're trying to bring your eyes more forward, you don't want to rim them in dark. But this kind of a look is light enough that it's not like a rimming them in dark. Anyway, so then you could go back and do another pass because it's still quite natural looking if you wanted a little bit more of a bronzy look. But for me, I won't take it any more intense than that. And I'll go back with my my sponge, and kind of just make sure that there are no hard edges happening. That's it. Pretty simple, right? So, okay. Now I want to look at which lip color we're going to do, because that's going to influence which other cheek, because I am still going to put something else, color on my cheek. You don't have to with bronzer, but I always like to. So I'm showing you the combo. So these are the lipsticks that I pulled out to experiment with. Keeping it super neutrally nude, adding a little va va voom, and then taking it all the way to a red. I think any of these would go, but I think maybe we'll stick with keeping everything very neutral. So a neutral lip means, grab a little mirror. A neutral lip means you can play everywhere else, right? So I love these color block lipsticks. This one is called Amber Light, and it's such a good shade that doesn't have too much. It's like a good neutral that doesn't have too much orange, too much pink, or too much brown. So it's great on a multitude of skin tones. Pretty great. I've been using lip liner for ages now instead of just a lipstick, and it's created the inability for me to just draw my lips on with lipstick because I need that outer edge liner as like my trace drop, color in the line situation now. So there we go. That is, for me, this would be my look, right? But I want to show you a few other things. So Ilia has these. These remind me of her MAC, or of the MAC little squeezy paints that were available when I first started doing makeup. I love those. These are very similar. You can use them anywhere on your face. They go on sheer, but are buildable. They're so pretty. And all are such good colors. This one's Stutter it's so good. It's like this good brownish orange. But I think right now I'm going to pull Waking Up is the shade. And the tip is, it's fun. You could use this directly on your face, but I like to use my fingers to paint. So a teeny little bit will go a long way. It's a very similar tone to the lip color that I put on. So I'm going for a monochromatic face with a lot of bronziness, and then I'm gonna go in with some shimmer. This would be a great look, no matter what you're doing. Great for work, great for going out at night, and totally great for a Zoom call, because you're just accentuating what's already there. You're not redrawing a face on top. So, like I said, you can put these anywhere. For me, I'm gonna start on the cheek. Isn't that so nice? I love these because you could put one in your, either your wallet or the bottom of your purse. And when you're out and you realize you don't have time, this is all my like future thinking, like, oh, back when we used to go out. When you're out and you realize that you want to like go do something after work and you realize you didn't bring your makeup with you and you want to touch up, you have one product that can make any part of your face look very polished and a little bit more alive, because it has emollients in it, so it's hydrating. Oh, it's so cool. Such a good look. And it also has just the right amount of pigment that it's not like too bold, but you could then, watch this, just put it on your eyes. So it's going to give me a little bit more of a highlighty look. Can you see that? Since I'd already had the backdrop of the bronzer, a little bit more, it's like I have a good, so easy two-tone eye. You know, sometimes you watch makeup tutorials and there's a 2 or 4 step eye and you're like, I'm never doing that on myself. This is one that you absolutely can. And you can choose any shades to do it. A super simple sheer color as a backdrop, and then put a little bit of a creamier shade of your liking on just your lid. So I'm not taking it up anywhere above the crease, and if I got any in the crease, I'm taking it off, because you know, cream products don't like the crease. Well, I should say they like the crease. They like to gather in the crease, and that's not what we want. So by avoiding placement there, we don't have that issue. Okay, then let's look at her. What is she even calling these? Oh, daylight highlighting powder. So her daylight highlighting powders, the shades are quite similar. Decades and Starstruck. Starstruck is a little bit deeper, but they both have like a very high amount of shimmer. So let's just say for a daytime look, I'm going to take the daylight, and I'm going to take a smaller brush rather than one of those big old fluffy ones, but you could certainly use a big fluffy brush. But a smaller brush for me works better, because I just want very specific placement. And yes, you can put powder on top of cream, which I had put on top of powder, right? Like there's, you know, layering that you can do if you do it very carefully, as to avoid it looking streaky. And that's, I don't know if you can see just how very specifically placed that is, as opposed to like a wash all over your face of it, because if you do that, it's going to give you super shimmer everywhere, and once the color starts to fade, you're going to just be left with little particles of glitter, which is the antithesis of what you want. So I think that's kind of amazing. As always, if I don't do my eyes, I feel like, wow, I look weird. I'm going to pull in the darker shimmer just for fun, and I'm going to put it right in the middle of the part of my eyelid that protrudes the most, for 2 reasons. It's going to set the cream, help it stay longer, the cream color that I just put on, and give me a little hint, can you see that? A little hint of shimmer just behind my eyelashes, which I'm going to curl and put mascara on. So I feel like that's such a nice way to bring a little bit of light back into your eye makeup without looking like a super shimmer eye. It's great for women of all ages. I have received the question a lot. You know, I'm over 40, I'm over 50, I'm over 60. Can I do that? Can I do shimmer on my eyes? Yes, but I feel like it should be somewhat strategic and often looks best if you back it, meaning you put down a first layer of a little bit of, you know, just whatever your skin tone is, a sheer wash of color that's almost your skin tone, just to even things out. And then a slight placement of shimmer is great. Okay, so then the final step in this is curling the lashes and putting on mascara. So you know my deal with curling of the lashes, right? Let's try to make this a quick little tutorial. Grab them at the root, clamp a number of times. I know it's can be uncomfortable where the little points on top poke in, and then the one that hits you on the cheek is annoying. And then pull out and angle even more towards your nose to get that outer edge up higher. And then, whoops, and then do the same thing on the other side. I guess my eyelash curler got wet. Whoops. This is my number 1 way to make you look more awake, to make your eyes look larger, and to make your eyelashes look more fluttery and ba-ba-boom. If you don't have light lashes, maybe this is just enough. I mean, it's more than enough even if you do have light lashes, but you know, typically redheads at an early age discover mascara and fall in love with it. So I'm using the mascara that I always sing the praise of. It's Elia's Limitless Lash. I often will say about eyeliner, you don't need eyeliner if you don't want it. But this look could definitely have had an eyeliner added. I would like both a smoky eyeliner as well as a pretty straight little thin tight line eyeliner. Either would look really good. Maybe I will do a part 2 where I show you that. And if you're using a mascara that doesn't have a good separation of each little tine of the wand, you may want to get an eyelash comb, which has very sharp little tines. So you have to be really careful not to be used when you're near a child running around. This is what it looks like. And this is why I say be really careful. I love these. Whoops, the thing is coming out. I can't imagine working without these. They are extremely helpful and give you that very defined, feathered out lash that sometimes is hard to accomplish if your mascara is really clumpy or the brush doesn't do the work for you. And I always like to let my lashes dry a minute before going back in for another coat. What do you think? The finished product. It's pretty dramatically different. Makeup is so transformative. I love it. This look will look good in daylight. This look will look great on Zoom. This look will look fantastic for going out at night once we get back to that world. And you can always substitute whatever you do have for the products that I showed you. The shimmer on top of creams are totally doable as long as you're careful with your placement as to not drag and therefore streak the cream. But if you're kind of packing it on, that's the way to keep the long wear aspect happening. So, you know, I don't generally do my eyebrows. I kind of like them just naked and sheer, but I will grab a lip balm. This is from Kahina Giving Beauty, which is a really great brand that supports women in Morocco who are the farmers of the argan oil, basically the argan nuts. And you should check out their website. It's really cool. Kahina Giving Beauty. I will link to it as well as all the different products I used below, so you can easily find them and read up and buy them if you like. But this is my technique, is always just a lip balm in my eyebrows. It gives me a little added shine and it keeps them in place. And that is it. So the verdict is, I really like these Ilia bronzers, and I love her more tan highlighters a lot. Can you see how nice that looks on my eyes too? Anyway, okay, video number 2, done.